This video is about carving 3D indented letters with my router pantograph. My pantograph not only controls the position of the router but also its depth, which allows me to carve these profile letters that actually have a variable depth of cut along the whole letters. The way the pantograph works is I have a conical follower which follows the grooves in the template and a V-bit that is the same shape as my conical follower. Now, if I have a wider gap in my template, as you can see here, then the conical follower can dip deeper into that template, which will tilt the whole pantograph forward, and that in turn will drive the V-shaped cutter deeper into my stock, which will make for a deeper, wider cut. So here's my V-shaped bit that carves out the letters, and to go along with this V-shaped bit, I have a conical follower that's got the same angle as the bit, and that follower follows in the grooves of the template, and where the template is wider it dips deeper, and then where it's not as wide it rides further up, which then controls the depth of cut and width of the groove that my V-shaped bit will cut. To make the templates, I start with letter shapes that I printed using my online stencil generator, and I glue those onto pieces of 1/2-inch plywood. Before cutting them out, I drill some holes in some of the corners, which will make it much easier to turn around with the bandsaw blade. And then I separate them into individual letters on a table saw. And then I cut the letters out on the bandsaw. It's quite okay to just make a cut from the outside into the letter because I don't actually have to follow that extra cut that I made. Next, I glue the letters down onto a thin piece of plywood as a backer. This is important to hold the template together as well as to support the inside bits of letters like D or A. Although I never made a complete alphabet of letters, every time I want to spell a new sign, I just figure out which letters I'm missing, and then I make new ones to add to the collection. The thin backing plywood extends a little bit beyond the actual block for my letters itself, and that plywood then slips into a slot on my template holder, and that template holder can hold a whole word's worth of letters, and I have these rails on either side with a groove in them that then hold the letters in place while I'm doing the routing. Now I need a follower for my template that's the same shape as my V cutting router bit. So I made a conical follower by just holding a hand blade to a spinning piece of wood in my drill press. I could have used a lathe, but I don't have the right kind of chuck for it. I added a pin to the tip of my follower cone. That way I don't end up accidentally slipping out of my template groove when I get to the end of a thin line. Setting the height of my follower cone is critical. Depending on how high I set it, I end up with letters that are really skinny or really bold. Once I have everything all set up, carving the actual sign goes really fast. I don't have to be really careful about following the lines because my cone just naturally follows the grooves. So here's a relatively deep cut sign using the 1/2 scale on my pantograph. And here's the same sign carved 1/3 scale and 1/2 scale, both from the same template. And here's experimenting with font weight, also all from the same template.